Chapter 19: The Servant of Lord Voldemort. Hermione screamed. Black leapt into his feet. Harry jumped as though he'd received a huge electric shock. "I found this at the base of Whomping Willow," said Snape, throwing the cloak aside, careful to keep his wand pointing directly at Lupin's chest. "Very useful, Potter. I thank you." Snape was slightly breathless, but his face was full of surprised triumph. "You're wondering perhaps how I knew you were here?" he said, his eyes glittering. "I've just been to your office, Lupin. You forgot to take your potion tonight, so I took a goblet full along. And very luckily I did. Lucky for me. I mean, lying on your desk was a certain map. One glance, it told me all I needed to know. I saw you running along this passageway and out of sight." Severus Lupin began, but Snape overrode him. "I've told the headmaster again and again you've been helping your old friend Black into the castle, Lupin. And here's the proof. Not even I dreamed you would have the nerve to use this old place as your hideout." "Severus, you're making a mistake," said Lupin urgently. "You haven't heard everything. I can explain. Sirius is not here to kill Harry." "Do more for Azkaban tonight," said Snape, his eyes now gleaming frantically. "I shall be interested to see how Dumbledore takes this." "He was quite convinced you were harmless. You know, Lupin, a tame werewolf." "You fool," said Lupin softly. "Is a schoolboy grudge worth putting an innocent man back in Azkaban?" Bang! Thin snake-like cords burst from the end of Snape's wand and twisted themselves around Lupin's mouth, wrists, and ankles. He overbalanced and fell to the floor, unable to move with a roar of rage. Black started towards Snape, but Snape pointed his wand straight between Black's eyes. "Give me a reason," he whispered. "Give me a reason to do it, and I swear I will." Black stopped dead. It would have been impossible to say which face showed more hatred. Harry stood there paralyzed, not knowing what to do or who to believe. He glanced around at Ron and Hermione. Ron looked just as confused as he did, still fighting to keep hold of the struggling Scabbers. Hermione, however, took an uncertain step towards Snape and said in a very breathless voice, "Professor Snape, it wouldn't hurt to hear what they've got to say, would it?" "Hermione, you're already facing suspension from this." "School," Snape spat. "You, Potter, and Weasley are out of bounds. In the office of convicted murderer and werewolf, for once in your life, hold your tongue. But if there are mistakes—" "Keep quiet, you stupid girl," Snape shouted. "Keep looking suddenly deranged. Don't talk about what you don't understand." A few sparks shot out of his wand, which was still pointing at Black's face. Hermione fell silent. "Vengeance is very sweet." Snape breathed at Black. "How I hoped I would be the one to catch you." "The joke's on you again, Severus," snarled Black. "As long as this boy brings his rat up to the castle." He jerked his head at Ron. "I'll come quietly." "Up to the castle?" said Snape silkily. "I don't think we need to go up that far. All I have to do is call the Dementors once. We get out of the willow, they'll be very pleased to see Black. Pleased enough to give you a little kiss, I dare say." What little color there was left in Black's face left it. "You've got to hear me out," he croaked. "The rat, look at the rat." But there was a mad glint in Snape's eye that Harry had never seen before. He seemed beyond reason. "Come, all of you," he said. He clicked his finger and the end of the cord that bounced Lupin flew to his hands. I'll drag the werewolf. Perhaps the Dementors will have a kiss for him, too. Before he knew what he was doing, Harry had crossed the room in the 3 strides and blocked the door. "Get out of my way, Potter. You're in enough trouble already," snarled Snape. "If I hadn't been here to save your skin, Professor Lupin could have killed me about 100 times this year," Harry said. "I've been alone with him loads of times, having defense lesson against Dementors. If he was helping Black, why didn't he just finish me off? Don't ask me to fathom the way of a werewolf's mind works," hissed Snape. "Get out of the way, Potter." "You're pathetic," Harry yelled. "Just because they made a fool out of you at school, you won't even listen." "Silence! I will not be spoken to like that," Snape shrieked, looking madder than ever. "Like father, like son, Potter. I've saved your neck. You should be thanking me on bended knee. You would have been well served if he'd kill you. You'd have died like your father too. Arrogant to believe you might be mistaken in Black. Now get out of the way, Potter, or I will make you get out of the way, Potter." Harry made up his mind in a split second. Before Snape could even take one step towards him, he raised his wand. "Expelliarmus," he yelled, except that his wasn't only voice that shouted. There was a blast that made the door rattle on its hinges. Snape was lifted to his feet and slammed into the wall, then slid down into the floor, a trickle of blood oozing from under his hair. He had been knocked out. Harry looked around. Both Ron had tried to disarm Snape at exactly the same moment. And that is the end of the chapter 19.